Hey guys, it's your boy Valdo, and gonna show you what I've been playing, which is an Incinerate Castle Channeling Magma Orb build. This is gonna just be a little bit of footage. I was doing some shaped underground seas, and those are I'm just honestly been doing these because they have such great density, and they feel pretty good. But anyways, with the build, we're using Magma Orb with its new buffs and changes that essentially allow it to be a less cumbersome skill on, of course, your FPS and your clearing, because it has higher projectile speed. And then we're using kind of the DPS portion of this castle channeling setup, which is Incinerate. And Incinerate reaches maximum stacks quicker because we stack so much cast speed in this build. I'll explore a couple more of those things with you guys in a second. But some of the main things with leveling on this build, I literally just used castle channeling Magma Orb with Incinerate. And like a tabula rasa, you don't even have to use that. I mean, it clears so fucking well. It has such high damage. But Incinerate does insane damage early game, like a lot of fucking damage. And Magma Orb, of course, is just a generally decent skill. So yeah, with leveling, it was easy. With maps, it's been easy. Like this skill is a breeze all the way through. Single target, it it's pretty good. It's pretty decent single target. Like I melt bosses pretty well. Um, but that's kind of like it's not the best, but it melts pretty decent. Like for example, the damage on both the stills together is somewhere like 900k. You could probably push for a million DPS in this non-crit build, so it's not bad. But generally, it's a pretty cool feeling skill, and the combo feels pretty interesting. What I'm gonna show you guys now is a quick um, rundown of what I've got. So, kind of the star of the build, Incinerate, uses this epic enchantment here, which is +2 to maximum incinerate stages. So normally you get 8, but you see in the top left corner, it'll get up to 10. And so what does that mean? Well, it actually means more. It doesn't actually, sadly, it does not give you more area, which is what I was thinking it would do. But if you notice in the skill, it says +4 to radius per stage, up to 15. It stays at 15. It doesn't go like up to 17, for example, radius, which honestly, I really feel like that should have been included considering Incinerate's AoE is kind of shit. But whatever. It does give you more damage. So, of course, each stage gives you a little bit of more damage. So, that's 50% more damage with anything, ignites, whatever. So, it's pretty cool. Pretty nice, actually. Pretty decent. So, this is actually an excellent enchantment. I highly recommend anybody doing this needs to have this enchantment to really achieve that sexual DPS. But anyways, Incinerate, Fire Penetration, Combustion, Immolate, Magma Orb, and Cast while channeling. So I dropped Ignite Proliferation, which I think you guys were looking at in the video, in favor for the Fire Penetration. So regardless, I think one of the best parts about this build is our cast speed is insanely high. We achieve something like 13 stacks a second when we're like you have to use a movement skill recently, trickster stuff, right? Frenzy charges, all that. It's like 13 casts a second, at least for the stacks in this build. And I guess the other links we use are just the shield charge, faster attacks, whatever, same thing. We use Scorching Ray on a totem. Honestly, I don't use this much. Like it's really a bitch to put out. Like everything else I do is like super fast cast speed, right? But then like when I go to place this totem, it's like extra slow. So yeah, I mean, I'm probably just gonna drop this. It's cool, and of course it helps, but by the time I've like revved up to maximum stacks, like I don't know, it just doesn't feel like it's worth it, even though the damage is there. Just the clear time is so weak on using the skill for a single target. And then we have Righteous Fire linked to increased duration, and this should be efficacy, um, but it's clarity. Funny enough, I'm just now realizing I was missing that. Um, but basically, with efficacy and increased duration, you have a higher duration on your Righteous Fire, which means you gain that more damage multiplier for a much longer duration. There it is. So yeah, and then we have Clarity, of course. So efficacy, like I said, that spell cascade, fuck my life. But yeah, Clarity, Herald of Ash for obvious reasons. So a quick thing about this: increased critical strikes and orbital storms with curse on hit and flammability. I like that setup, but this build doesn't need it because Incinerate can crit now. Um, for whatever reason, Incinerate can crit now, and now that Incinerate can crit, that means that you don't actually need the Orbisaur's crit strike support setup. Instead, we just use it with flammability and curse on hit. I'm probably gonna change this to Arcane Surge. It's probably the best thing to switch it out to. Um, that's kind of it for that setup. And then the rest of the gear is pretty basic. One of the cool things we do use is the Omeyocons. The Omeyocon allows you to get Onslaught for free, which means our shield charge and everything is super smooth without having to drink a flask. If only I had a better flask to put in its place, because we still slightly use a mana flask just in case. This character isn't fully optimized, so just kind of a heads up that this isn't actually the final build for the character. I've honestly just kind of rushed to this point, messing around with some other skills too. But that's generally it. We also take Aziri's Foible for the extra mana. This build relies heavily on its mana. It has about 3,100 mana, which gives us more dodge and spell dodge, whatever. And then we have 4K life. To kind of, I guess, work out what that looks like, we also have phase acrobatics and acrobatics. So lots of cast speed as well. This is like 2 nodes worth of cast speed. This is like an excellent node if you guys have never taken it. Um, cast speed here, and of course, being a trickster, cast speed on the small nodes, frenzy cast speeds. We have the arcane cast speed, and of course, we hit so many fucking times. Why not harness the void? So, generally, I think this build is pretty powerful. It does have decent DPS. It's just that it requires a bit of optimization. So, for example, I'm probably going to be dropping the Scorching Ray setup, but I might also keep it because it might be one of my best options against some bosses. Um, and by some bosses, I mean bosses that won't die just instantly, like they kind of normally do. Where it's going to be worth placing that Scorching Ray totem. And then Orb of Storms obviously stays for the flammability, but Valoright's Fire kind of is the GOAT in general. I guess the real issue with Valoright's Fire is that once you hit it, it's like you're only getting those 8 seconds, like that's it. And after those 8 seconds, it's like your damage goes back to normal, which isn't horrible like on normal bosses, but I imagine against Guardians it could be a pain in the ass. But I'm gonna push a little bit more, try to get to 90, then I'm gonna probably upload my Guardian fights with this character. But besides that, I mean, it feels pretty good. Like it's very smooth feeling, as you guys can see, and it's really quick. It's got really nice clear speed. And it honestly, as far as gearing goes, the only expensive part was the Stark Conja's head, and of course the 6 link. But I mean, you don't really need to run the 6 link. You just probably drop Fire Pen. Um, the thing about the Stark Conjas is like I think I bought it for like 20-ish chaos, but now they're pretty expensive. I don't know what that's all about. I don't think many people are playing Incinerate unless I'm missing out. Um, and the shield was like 10 chaos. Like everything was pretty cheap here. But I mean, generally the build's been super fun. I mean, I am slightly bored of Incinerate. I don't know why. It doesn't really quite get me there, if you feel me. It's not the coolest skill. Um, and it was a bit of a struggle trying to figure out what I liked with this build. And I don't know. Probably not going to be playing this one too long. Probably see if I can do some Guardians, and then I'm probably going to drop it. You guys probably know this already. Channeling kind of sucks to do unless you're a god like Scorching Ray or whatever. So, so yeah. If you guys have any questions about it, you can let me know. I'll put my shitty paste bin in the description and stuff, and you guys can tell me how you feel about it. But besides that, it's been fun, guys. See you then.